Oh, where in the world is Mel? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ask StreamYard. I am not at home, as you can tell. No, I did not move my studio into a different location. I am actually on vacation today at the lakes. So we are visiting friends at their beautiful lake home in northern Indiana. And so, hey, I brought some of my stuff with me so that I could still go live and hang out with you guys today on the Ask StreamYard show. So, got a different setup. I got my laptop computer. It is a very nice gaming laptop, so it's got great power, all the things. I've got my little Yeti Nano microphone right here. It's not my typical microphone, so the audio might sound a little different. And then, of course, I did grab my DSLR camera and my tripod and my cam link, and I've got it all here. So it all fit in my laptop bag, no problem, and I just set it all up. I did a test stream before this show here just to make sure everything was going to work well, and here we are. So what's going on, everybody? I have to look over to the side at your comments today because my setup is a little bit different. Normally, I would recommend you put your camera right above your monitor so that you can look into the camera lens, which is looking into the eye of your audience, but also you can see the studio and the comments coming in right below the camera. So bear with me today as I got a little bit of a different setup today, but we're hanging out. The sun's now coming in, so my face is getting bright. Hold on, let me actually change the shade. Oh yeah, see? Just like that. All you gotta do. I'm using a natural light today. That's the other thing. So sometimes when you're, on the go and you don't want to take all your stuff with you and you don't want to take the lights with you and all those things, then just find a good room in the house that's quiet, that maybe has some natural light coming in, face the window. Right now, the sun is literally coming out from behind the clouds. So that's your only disadvantage when it comes to working with natural light is you can't really control it. But I did just pull the shade. So there you go. Got a little bonus tip today. So what is going on? We got Darina here from Ireland. We've got Dawn here as well. We've got, oh my gosh, we got Howard Vale. We have the Runny Egg here. We have all kinds of people here hanging out with us today. So we are going to be talking about creating more live videos today. So this is actually, I'm going to share with you a system that you can use that's going to help you create more live videos. So what I mean by creating more live videos, what I mean is being consistent with your live streams, staying on schedule, on track. Now, some people tell me, they'll say, hey, Mel, I don't want to go live every week because it's too much work. I need this shade to do what I want it to do. There we go. Okay. They'll say, it's so hard to go live all the time. I can't, it's too much work. So I can only handle going live once a month. Well, I really want to encourage you to go live at least once a week. That is really, truly going to help you actually establish relationships with your audience, as well as continue to get results. If you're taking too much time off between your live streams, then you're going to lose track of your audience. Your audience might lose track of you. And honestly, there's just a lot of content out there. It's kind of like having a friendship and only seeing that friend and only hanging out with that friend once a month versus not talking to them weekly, catching up with them, staying in their life. Facebook and social media allows us to stay in touch with our friends without staying in touch with them. So a lot of people say, I really only do see my friends once a month or every 6 months, but you can still stay connected to them and still stay, a part of their life because of social media. Well, your live streams essentially can do the same thing with your audience. But imagine if your friends only posted an update on their life once a month. You would feel like you were missing out on all the other things going on. So live streaming is very similar. And so staying consistent, going live regularly is really the best way to get great results from your live videos. So today what I want to share with you is a pretty simple process that I want you to implement that's actually going to make this a little bit easier for you. Because again, as I said, anytime I talk to anybody about this, they always say, oh my gosh, it's too much work. I can barely handle 1 or 2 live videos, every once in a while. So once a week or twice a week sounds a little daunting to most people. So let's talk about the process to make this a little bit more efficient for you. But before I do that, got to say hello to Cynthia, Purgatory Paranormal of New York. It's great. Dorina says it's raining in Ireland today. Oh, that's a bummer, but I have a feeling that's a common thing for Ireland, of course. Okay, let's see here. All right, let's see. Oh, so Mr. Fulton Miraz is saying hello from Cicero, Indiana. There is a beautiful lake in Cicero called Morse Lake. I'm actually up at Lake Tippecanoe Lake up here in northern Indiana as well. It's kind of a lake weekend. 4th of July tends to be, it's 4th of July weekend here in the States. And of course, that's a pretty popular time for people to take time off and all those things. So, all right. Yeah. Colleen says that she appreciates cloudy days so the light's more consistent for her live stream. So she's using that natural light as well. So very, very good. Okay, let me just check in on the comments again. We got, Geeks on Tours here from Fort Lauderdale. All kinds of people tuning in now. We got Sudan in the house. Oh my gosh, all kinds of people. Okay, Philippines. Okay, let's do this. Tim says, I go live every Thirsty Thursday. Love it. There you go, Tim. So somebody going live weekly for us over there. Okay, so let me get my banners pulled up here because I want to go through the content today because I've got a process that I want to share with you. Now, if you've got a question for me today about this process, post it in the comments with the Q in front. That'll make it easier for me to find it. I am probably going to struggle a little bit with seeing some of your questions as they come through, as I mentioned, because I'm literally having to look over to the side because my camera's right here, computer's over here. It's just a little bit of a different setup today. So, okay, let me jump in. I wanted to start off by saying the best way that you can be more consistent with your live videos. Really, honestly, the process I'm sharing with you, this is a very, very, very good process for anyone to implement if they're doing any kind of content, not just live streams. So if you're creating, short videos for your YouTube channel, if you're doing podcasts, even if you're creating blog articles for your website, using the process of batching is what we want to be using. Now, people tend to talk about batching quite a bit when it comes to podcasting, video creation, content writing and things like that, because all of those items, you create it and you have it ready. Even social media posts, you can work on all this stuff in advance and then schedule it all out. So the process of batching means that you essentially work on more than one thing at a time, more than one piece of content at a time. Now, batching can be done in a number of ways. Batching what it might look like is the first Monday of every month, you sit down and you design all your graphics for all your social media posts and you plan them all out and you get them all scheduled and they're all ready to go. Maybe you're using a scheduling application to post your social media graphics. That would be an example of batching. Another example of batching would be sitting down and recording 5 podcast episodes that are going to be released over the period of 5 weeks. But you sit down one day and you actually record all 5 podcast episodes. So you've literally just recorded 5 weeks worth of content in one, maybe half day or maybe even a full day. Same with video creation. You might sit down and create a bunch of videos for the next month or 2 that you're going to be publishing. So batching is common and popular and talked about quite a bit by marketing strategists and people of the like when it comes to that type of content. But live videos, how would you batch live videos? Because it's live. Well, you can't batch the delivery of the live content. Like right now, I am live. I am here with you live. That's what we're doing. You can't batch this, of course. Now, you do have the pre-recorded stream feature, meaning you can stream a pre-recorded video using StreamYard, but I'm not talking about that, okay? That is a very unique strategy for a unique situation. So we're going to put that over to the side. Of course, you could, record a bunch of videos and then you could stream out the recordings. We're not talking about that. But the delivery of the live video itself, being live with your people, engaging in the comments, dealing with your audience live, you cannot batch that because you have to be in the moment live. But you can batch all the other stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what I'm talking about is how are we going to batch our content so that we can actually deliver live videos easily, more consistently, more efficiently, with less stress and less burden on ourselves, right? Because ideally what I want you to be able to do is wake up and say, it's a live video day. I can't wait. I'm going to go live today at 2. Everything's all ready to go. All you got to do is show up and go live and have a blast. That's ideally what I want you to do. What I don't want you to do is wake up and say, oh my gosh, it's live video day. I got to get everything ready. I got to do this. I got to do that. All the things. I don't want you to do that. I want you to feel great. I want you to feel energy. I want to use that energy and preserve that energy so that when you do go live, you're ready to rock and roll. So your audience is going to fall in love with you even more, right? We don't want you being all stressed out, because if you're stressed out about going live, guess what's going to happen? You won't go live. You're going to totally talk yourself out of it because it's a pain and you don't like it. So let's take away some of that pain. Let's take away the burden so that you can actually enjoy your live videos and get those results that we want. Okay? How's that sound to everybody? All right. Checking in on the comments really quick, making sure I'm not missing anything important. This mouse pad on this laptop is a little tricky. It's like shifted over to the side, so it's a little bit harder for me to use. Okay. I see a couple questions about copyright strikes. That is not what we're talking about today. What I would love for you to do is either post your question in the Facebook group or reach out to our support team and they can help you out. I see a couple comments about it. That's definitely one of those things that is important, but we're not going to be talking about that today. All right. Jazz Jenkins says, this week I went live 3 times. Preparing ahead of time is a great idea. Yes, 100%. Tim goes live. He loves going live. Fantastic. I love it. Okay, let me see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions that are about today's topic. What's up, Mel Albin? Nice to see you live here again, hanging out with us. Okay, we got Atlanta, Georgia in the house. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Dawn, do me a favor, post your question in our Facebook group or reach out to our support team. So all of today's questions are going to be related to planning your live videos, batching your live videos, and of course, creating more live videos with ease. So, all right, let's do this. Doug at SmackDown Outdoors says lakes are going to be a madhouse this weekend. So Doug, I will say this really fast. The place where we're staying, our friends, really, really close friends of ours, he loves to fish. He's a hunter and a fisher. They love it. He is literally out there with his bow and arrow trying to shoot a carp right now out there. I wish you could see it. It's hilarious. You would love this guy. So I know that Doug, you are a big angler. Obviously, that's what your channel's about. So super fun. Thought you would appreciate that fun comment. I wish I would have brought a mouse with me today because this is really unfortunate and very challenging. Okay. All right, let me see here. I'm loving. He says, I'm so jealous. Okay. All right, let's talk about batching your content. Let's talk about batching and live videos. So again, the batch work that you're going to do is going to happen. So I will say this, there's 2 ways you can batch any type of content. You can batch by the task, or you can literally batch the item from start to finish. And what I mean by that is you can sit down and say, on Monday, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create all of the ideas for my live videos. And then on Tuesday, you sit down and say, today I'm going to work on titles and descriptions. Wednesday, I'm going to work on graphics. That's batching by task, meaning you're going to say, I'm going to work on 5 items at the same time, but one part, I'm going to only focus on one, skill set or one task for all 5 items. You could also just say, I'm going to pick my topic and I'm going to do everything. I'm going to say topic, I'm going to say title, descriptions, I'm going to design the graphic, I'm going to get everything ready. That's also an example of batching. You need to decide what works best for you. I will say that most people work best when they batch by function, meaning by task. And if you're in brainstorming mode, you probably aren't going to be in strategy mode. If you're brainstorming, you might be doing research, you might be doing a bunch of stuff like that, coming up with all those ideas. You then maybe don't want to go all of a sudden and go into design mode, right? So a lot of people like to batch by task. Also, you may be getting support from a team or some virtual assistants. They're obviously going to be doing what their function is. If you have a graphic designer, they're going to be batching the graphics. So let's go through the process of the batches. I'm going to go through each batch for you. I have 4 batches for you, plus some pro tips to help you make this even better. So, okay, batch number 1. Batch number 1 is essentially creating your list of topics. So I want you to find a time, whether it be, at the coffee shop or maybe out and about or maybe on a walk, whatever, your best way to do research and to come up with the list of topics. Now, sit down, have a notebook, have a Google Doc, have, a Trello open, the project management app, whatever you want to do, the way that you do best work, whiteboard it, Post-it notes, don't care. You're going to sit down and you're going to reserve time and you're just going to sit there and come up with a bunch of ideas. So all of these ideas are going to be gathered and saved. Now, a couple ways you can do this. You can actually be sitting and doing research using tools like TubeBuddy, vidIQ, and some others to be looking, Google Search Console, to be finding ideas. What are people searching about? Maybe, Doug at SmackDown Outdoors. He's like, ooh, bow and arrow fishing. That's a topic. Okay, great. Then what I want Doug to do is I want him to go down a rabbit hole. I want him to go look on YouTube. I want him to start searching for that topic and then look and see what other stuff is out there, what videos are really popular. The popular videos around that topic are likely to be great ideas for you to go live. So take the topic, but then how can you drill down? So sometimes you start out with an idea, but then you go down the rabbit hole and you might come up with 5 more ideas from that one idea. So go through this process. So sit down and actually create a list of ideas for your topics. That's batch number 1, is basically brainstorming. What are you going to go live about, right? That's the whole concept here. So that's the first batch. The second batch that you're going to work on is actually working on those titles and descriptions. So let's say you came up with 20 ideas. I want you to pick 5 of the topics that you're going to go live next, and I want you to sit down. I want you to do some research, some keyword research, and I want you to come up with some really great titles and descriptions that are going to perform and in your search results, in those search results. So live videos absolutely should have some strategy and some thought put into the title and the description. Now, in this particular live video, I'm not going to take a deep dive into the best way to come up with titles and SEO and all the things. I'd like to have one of my friends come on the show and talk about some of that stuff, which probably going to be happening here pretty soon. But today, I just want you to know that the second batch that you need to be focusing for and planning for is writing the titles and descriptions. You can find a place to save this. You can use a project management tool. You can put it all in a Google Doc. You can put it in a Word doc. Don't really care. In a Notes app, I don't care. But what I want you to do is know, here are those topics, here's the title, and here's the description that goes with each one of them. What this is going to do is that when it's time for you to actually schedule the live video, you will already have the title and description ready to go. So boom, it's going to be super easy and super fast for when you actually sit down and schedule that content. So let's talk about the next batch. The next batch is designing your thumbnails. I would say thumbnails and graphics here. Honestly, any graphics that go with that live video, maybe some overlays or anything else that you need to have that supports your live video. I want you to actually have all that stuff. I want you to do that in a batch as well. So when you're in brainstorming mode and you're researching titles and topics, your brain is going to work one way. When you're sitting down and you're designing and you're creating graphics, your brain is probably going to work in a little bit of a different way. This is why I actually do recommend that when you do your batch work, you do the batch work by function. It's just, you're going to find that you get into the zone And if you're brainstorming topics and you pick a topic and then you go into writing a title and description for it, and then you go into writing a thumbnail, and then you got to go all the way back to what's the next topic, that process, yes, it can work. However, you're going to find that when you start to come up with ideas, you're going to get into the zone and all the ideas are going to keep coming, and you don't want to stop that focus. You want to keep going. Same thing when you're in the creative mode and you're actually sitting down and designing graphics. You're going to find that it's a lot more efficient if you stay in that function and design more than one graphic. So again, if we were saying that you're going to work on these batches in 5s, you've got 5 thumbnails that you want to create, 5 supporting sets of graphics for your live video as well. So that is what that batch is. The 4th batch that you're going to focus on is actually determining the schedule for your content. So what this is you actually sitting down and saying, all right, I have all these ideas. I just got everything ready to go. These are when those live videos are going to happen. Now, this could happen earlier. You could actually do this after you brainstorm your topics. In fact, some people prefer to decide, they may come up with 50 ideas. Well, how do you know which batch to work on? Well, sit down and look at the schedule first. So sit down and decide, all right, these are when these videos are going to be put in order. Now you know what your priority list as far as going to titles, descriptions, and thumbnails, right? Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So, but anyway, the 4th batch that you're going to focus on is actually sitting down and creating that schedule. Now, creating the schedule is probably going to start out with you actually plotting it into a calendar, right? You deciding, hey, the 1st week of July, I'm going to talk about this. The 2nd week of July, I'm going to talk about this. The 3rd week, talking about this. And the 4th week, talking about that, right? This, and that. That's what I just said. So those are your titles. That's your schedule. Now, depending on where you're going live, you could pre-schedule. You could actually schedule those live broadcasts ahead of time. Of course, as all of you that use StreamYard know, it's very easy to schedule your broadcast in advance, which allows your audience to see what you're going to be going live about and when. They can click on Get Notified to make sure they don't miss that live broadcast. They might even put it in their calendar themselves because they don't want to miss the show, right? So pre-scheduling it, actually scheduling it out on the social media platforms is a great way to get more people to show up live. In fact, we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show. I talked about the importance of scheduling your live streams to get more people to show up live. Now, you're limited when it comes to platforms such as Facebook. You can only schedule a live video 7 days in advance, literally to the minute. And so obviously you're limited when how soon or how early you can schedule that broadcast. However, if you're going live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, you could go ahead and schedule your broadcast to YouTube, and then 7 days out, simply go into that broadcast in your StreamYard studio and just add the Facebook destination at that point, and then it will go ahead and schedule it on Facebook. It's very simple, very easy to do. So batching the schedule is also a great thing for you to do because you already know. Remember how I said, ideally, what I want you to be able to do is wake up on live day and say, everything's ready to go. Thumbnail's done. It's all scheduled. Title, it's all done. All I got to do is open up StreamYard, click on Go Live, and go live. And that's all the other work is done, right? And so that's truly the idea that I want you to be thinking about here. So I want to check in on the comments. I've got some pro tips for you as well that I absolutely want to share with you because honestly, there's a couple more bonus tips that are going to help this process be more efficient because batching is huge. Batching the planning some of your stuff in advance is absolutely going to make it easier for you to go live more consistently, go live on a weekly basis, or however often you want to go live. But there are a couple of other factors that are going to also add to reducing the barriers and also making it easy for you and fun for you to go live more often. So let me check in on everybody. We got Andrew's here. It's great to see Andrew Kahn here hanging out with us. What's up, my friends? I'm glad to see you in the comments with us, hanging out with us. Okay, let me check out and make sure I don't have any missed questions coming in. I see a couple questions about SEO tools, like Dennis is asking if TubeBuddy is worth the money. I know that TubeBuddy is a fantastic tool. If you are trying to grow your YouTube channel, I definitely would recommend you look into TubeBuddy. It's a great tool. It's definitely going to make a lot of the processes I'm describing even easier. So, all right, let me see. Uh-oh. Do we have some issues with my internet right now? We might. It's not telling me I am, but hopefully we're not running into any issues. I am streaming from the lakes. Sometimes internet up here is a little bit tricky, but I want to make sure we're good to go. So, okay, let me see here. Yes. So Smackdown Outdoors, Doug, our friend, he says Canva is great for batching. I totally agree. And one of the reasons why I love Canva is because you can actually create a design and then you can simply just duplicate that design and start to revise it. You kind of have a template, maybe the same background, maybe some of the same fonts for all of your thumbnails. It makes it way easier to actually create those consistent branded graphics for your stream. So I do highly recommend Canva as well. We've got some videos and stuff on that for sure. Experience African says, I love the batching idea. Well, good. I'm super happy to see that. All right, let's see. Love it. So Geeks on Tour says, we were live weekly starting in 2014. We're now down to a month of our regular show, plus some live Q&A specials. Lots of pre-recorded tutorials in the library. Fantastic. Love it. So very, very good. I love the pre-recorded tutorials right there. So it's Kashini's here. It's good to see you. Yes, so I am actually streaming from my friend's lake house. I am actually down in the finished basement. The lake is right out that way, and it's beautiful, and it is calling my name. But I wanted to come in here and hang out with all of you, of course, and go live with us on our our Ask StreamYard show. So yes, I brought all my stuff with me. Well, not all my stuff, some of my stuff, so that I could still go live and hang out with everybody here today. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Yeah, okay, this is another, so Doug always brings so much value. I love it. I appreciate it so much. He says, just take a broad topic and then make videos about all the little pieces. This is actually a strategy I've talked about many times, is you can usually, when you have an idea, you could probably find a way to break it down. For example, today's topic is about planning ahead so that you can actually create more live videos without all that effort and pain. So a lot of people think that live videos are very difficult because you can't really plan ahead. You can't batch a live video, but you can batch all the other stuff, which is what we're talking about. I could actually create 4 videos about each of those processes that I just described. I described the 4 batches, which is planning your topics in advance, brainstorming your topics in advance, and then sitting down and writing titles and descriptions for your live shows, and then designing thumbnails for those live shows and graphics for those live shows so that that's all done. And then the 4th batch was simply actually sitting down and creating a schedule for those live videos, and hopefully going into StreamYard and actually scheduling them, because you've already written the title and the description and you have your thumbnail done. So you actually could sit down and say, I'm going to go ahead and pre-schedule all of my July videos for the month. Now, again, as I mentioned, you can't do that with Facebook because of the limitation of time, but each of those ideas could be its own video. I could actually go take a deep dive on each one, do some tutorials, talk about some strategies. I could talk about some tools that you can use to do each one of those forms of batch work. So that's a great idea from Doug. Really great way to maximize your ideation and to come up with even more ideas. Okay, let me see here. Andrew says, remember to apply sunscreen. Thank you for the bonus or the tip there, my friend. I definitely don't want to get sunburn out there, that's for sure. So all right, let's see. Tim says, I've been batching and didn't know I was doing it. There you go. So he's been planning this stuff in advance and doing it this way for a while. So I love it. Okay, let's see. All right, so I've got some bonus tips for you for sure. All right. Okay, Mr. Fulton Mraz, happy early birthday. His birthday is on July 20th. Very, very fun. So what's up, Andrew Kavanaugh, joining us live. All right, now I've got a couple bonus tips for you, as I promised, of course. I love to bring a good bonus tip. All right, so the bonus tip number 1, this is a pro tip. This is going to help you create more videos as well. So if you're just now joining us, we're talking about how to actually create more live videos, more regular, more consistently, without all the added extra effort that you might be feeling, and of course, reducing some of the burden. So the first pro tip I have for you is to create a dedicated studio or setup. So over at my house, when I'm home, I'm streaming, I literally have everything up. I've got the camera up, I've got my mic up, everything is set. So all I have to do is walk downstairs, sit down on my computer, turn the lights on, turn the camera on, open up StreamYard, get ready to go and go live. I don't have to like get the camera out, turn it on, put it on the tripod. I don't have to do what I had to do today, which is basically set up. I mean, I'm not at my studio today. So it probably took me a good 30 minutes to decide where I wanted to go live, plug everything in, test it, make sure it was working properly. So yeah, that's a lot of extra effort. So when you create a dedicated space and you just make that commitment and say, you know what? I'm going to leave the lights here, whether it be a ring light or whatever. I'm going to leave my camera set up. I'm going to leave my mic out. Create that space. And then literally all you have to do is go downstairs and go live. You aren't going to have to do tech checks all the time. You're not going to have to like make sure the camera angles are correct because it's always there. It's always set. So that is literally one of the biggest tips I can give you when it comes to creating more content more consistently is make it easy. This is also going to make you that much more likely to do what's called a spontaneous piece of content, a spontaneous live. Maybe something really amazing just happened in your world, in your industry, and you need to go live. Well, you don't have to get all this stuff out and get it ready. You just go down and open StreamYard and boom, go live and tell your audience about the exciting thing that's going on. So this is definitely a key factor. Now, not everybody, some people are going to say, well, Melanie, I don't have the space for that. Or, my studio is my dining room table and I can't really leave it out all the time. I totally understand. If that is the case and you truly cannot have a dedicated space, then what I want you to do is I want you to create as many shortcuts as possible so that everything's ready. That might mean leave your camera on your tripod and simply move the tripod and put it in a corner or a closet already all attached so that you're not always disassembling and then reassembling everything all the time. That's one example of a shortcut, right? And so that's what I would definitely recommend. The other thing I would say is can you find a different space where you can maybe potentially have a little bit more of a dedicated space for your live streams? So this is definitely a huge thing. It absolutely is going to be a huge contributing factor in you staying consistent and going live more often. Okay, let's talk about the next pro tip. But first, got to check out all the comments. We got all kinds of comments here. Walter says, learning how to batch out your content thumbnails and graphics really helps you to avoid the live streaming burnout. Yeah, Walter, this is a really great point. So live streaming burnout is a real thing. People do tend to, if it's always effort, if it's always all this stuff, and it always takes energy from you, you're just, as I said, you're going to stop doing it. You're going to avoid it. You're going to talk yourself out of it because it's not going to be fun, right? It's not going to be one of those things. Geeks on Tour says, I love my dedicated studio in my home office, painted the wall green. Yeah, fantastic. Creative lady, thank you so much for your support. I love it. She says, show Mel some love. Hit the thumbs up, y'all. Yeah, I definitely make sure you like this video if this is helpful. Feel free to share it as well if you want to make some things happen there. Okay, yes, so I love this. Doug says, I just remodeled my entire studio to simplify my video process. Made my background very generic so I don't have to change anything to make videos. Guess what happened? I started making more content. I love that. I absolutely love that, Doug. Thanks for sharing that for sure. So, all right, I want to make sure I don't miss any other questions here. Don't think I do. Yeah, keep it simple, as Andrew said. Keep it simple. Keep it stupid simple, actually, he says, which I absolutely love. Okay, come on. This little mouse pad on this computer is not my favorite. It's not my friend. Okay, I saw a question. So Andrew said, how far do you recommend announcing a scheduled stream? So I talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, and honestly, what it boils down to is this. If you have a weekly show that's very consistent, for example, this show, it's every Friday at 11 a.m., unless I have to do a weird schedule, we don't really make a lot of effort in announcing it. Now, if we were to have a special guest on the show, we might do a little bit more announcing to pump the show up. But because it's a consistent show with a consistent schedule, we don't do a ton of like pre-announcing or anything like that. Now, if it were a monthly show or a show that wasn't as often, or like I said, very special and unique, then we are absolutely going to be promoting it earlier in advance to get as many people aware of it as possible, because it isn't what's called an outlier. It's not part of a consistent schedule. Now, that's just my recommendation. So weekly shows, I think, require less. Maybe a monthly show or a bi-monthly show, those you probably need to put a little extra effort into announcing that further in advance. And if you've got a special guest, you absolutely want to give it as much attention as possible. So it really kind of depends. It's obviously pretty situational for the most part, which is, kind of why I always say, it's not the easiest thing to describe, not the easiest thing to point out, but at the same time, it depends on what I'm getting at, sorry, is that it depends on the situation. But I did take a deep dive on that entire topic a few weeks ago. Oh, it's Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I use my desk for computer work, crafting and recording and streaming. I do one live a week and record, edit almost every day. There you go. So again, if you have that dedicated space, it is going to make the process a little simpler. Now, she's using it for both. She's crafting and using it for computer work and using it for her actual video creation as well. So she's obviously got a very multifunctional space that she's using, and she's made it work where she could actually have that dedicated space. And hopefully, Debbie, you find that it makes it easier for you to create more of those videos for sure. Okay, let me see here. All right, so the last pro tip that I have for you all. Now, this is a very StreamYard focused tip. So we talked about batching your ideas, batching your titles and your descriptions. We talked about batching your thumbnails and your graphics, and we talked about batching your scheduling, meaning deciding when these topics and when these live videos are going to be created and covered. The other thing that you can do is you can actually do some batch work inside of the StreamYard studio. So what am I talking about? I am talking about the banners that you might pull up, like this banner here that I just pulled up, that one that I just now noticed all the banners have been covering my chin. Sorry, I'm just not my usual setup. I can't see myself as well. So these banners, you can also go and pre-work as well. You can preload your graphics in, meaning any overlays or anything that you plan to pull up, maybe videos that you plan to pull up during your stream as well. So a lot of times, I think this is an area where people don't realize you can batch this. In fact, you can do it without making your studio really cluttered. So I want you to think about using the brand folders and the banner folders inside StreamYard. So when you're in StreamYard, if you go all the way up to the top, you will see brand folders. This means that you can literally create a whole different studio. You could have different color schemes. You could have a different set of graphics in your overlays and videos. You even have a different set of banner folders. So brand folders, you could use a brand folder for each weekly topic, right? And you can actually preload your graphics, preload everything you want to do in there. Very, very easy to do. Now, if you don't really have a lot of overlays or graphics, then I would say just keep one brand folder to keep everything simple. But then for your banners that you might pull up, use the banner folders and actually create a set of banners for each weekly show that you're doing. Remember that magic number of 5 that we talked about in the beginning of the show? If you're going to batch 5 live shows, go in and create 5 banner folders and do a set of banners for each one of those shows. I love using banners to call out attention to special points, emphasize things, and honestly, half the time I just use it as my agenda so that I don't forget what I'm supposed to talk about. So it's kind of like my outline. You should be doing the same thing. So setting up those banners ahead of time is going to allow you to do that. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about in that regard, let me just pull up StreamYard. Now I am working on a laptop, so I don't have my 2 monitors, which makes it a lot easier to do oh my gosh, can I type please? Can I learn how to type today? So I always say when you're sharing a screen, having 2 monitors is like the best thing ever. I do not have 2 monitors today, so I don't have that luxury. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, but I'm going to share a window. See if I can do this without screwing everything up. I'm going to add this. I'm going to pull it up so that you can see it. Give me just a second. All right. There we go. So you should see the StreamYard window here. Let me actually do this really quick. Yes, you do. Okay. So what we have here is you have the studio itself. So I'm going to enter the studio right here. So what I'm talking about when I said brand folders, all right, if you go to banner folders, if you go to banners out here to the right, notice right here, you actually can create a new folder. So if you go left a little bit, now look, here you have the folders. I don't think a lot of people realize that you actually can create banner folders as well. So stream 2. and I'm going to say stream 2. Now I have a whole nother folder where I can create another set of banners for my show. And so if I go back out, oh, it says Steam. So I've got the Ask StreamYard. There's all the banners I use for this show. But if I wanted to actually batch them out by topic or by title, I could actually separate those banners, because sometimes, especially if you have a lot of banners that you might want to use, then it can get a little bit messy if you're literally adding banners for 5 different shows. So I would recommend you make a folder for each show. So that is absolutely one of the best ways that you can do this. If you go to brand, now brand is going to give you the same thing. You actually have multiple folders that you can create. You can create a new brand folder. So new, and you could this is where you're actually going to be able to have a separate set of uploads, separate set of videos, separate set of overlays, all those things that you might want to do. Now your banners are going to go across all brands. So if you wanted to have banner folders, you will be able to access all those banner folders from any brand. But when you're in a brand, you'll notice here, look, I don't have any overlays uploaded. I don't have any backgrounds. So I actually can just have a unique set for that show. And then if I want to go to the next show, then I can go to the next show, and there are all of my overlays and my videos and all the things set and ready to go. So that is what I wanted to show you in regards to how you can actually use the banner folders and the brand folders to batch prepare your live streaming studio inside StreamYard. So definitely wanted to show that, because I don't think people realize that is also one of the things that you can do as well when it comes to batching your work and getting everything ready. So absolutely a tip I wanted to share with y'all for sure. So let me check in on the comments again. So if those of you joining in, I am not streaming from my normal studio. We are visiting friends at their beautiful lake home in northern Indiana. And so I am actually streaming from their finished basement. The lake is right out there, right out those windows. It's right out those windows. You can't see it because my tripod is stuck behind the box that my laptop is sitting on, because I am literally streaming from the window ledge. I am literally streaming from the window ledge over here. And so it's a beautiful place, a beautiful setup. And so, yes, I am live off location, or on location, if you will, from northern Indiana. So that's where I'm streaming from today. All right. So hopefully you all found this a good show. Hopefully you guys were actually going to take this process that I just taught you and implement it so that you can create more live videos more consistently on a more regular basis without adding all this extra effort, without creating all this stress. Because if you go live more often, you're going to get better results. It's that simple. So batch those titles, or batch those topics, right? Sit down, plan those topics out, then sit down and work on your titles and your descriptions. Sit down and work on your thumbnails or any of your supporting graphics that are going to go with your live video. And then lastly, make sure you sit down and create a calendar, schedule the content in advance. And then if you really want to get a little advanced, make sure you have a dedicated space for your live streaming, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you to walk in and get going, because you've already got the title and description done. You've already pre-scheduled it. The thumbnail's done. You literally have to wake up, sip your coffee, and you get to say, today's live video day, and I'm going to walk down to my studio, and I'm going to open up StreamYard, and I'm going to click go live, and I'm going to be ready to go. That is definitely what I want you to do. And then, of course, if you are using a lot of the advanced features inside StreamYard, like overlays and videos and banners and those types of things, pre-batch that as well, pre-set up that studio by using the brand folders and the banner folders feature inside the StreamYard studio. It makes it much easier for you to organize those shows in advance, so that, again, as I mentioned, you literally just get up, have a fun day, and then whenever it's time to go live, you're ready to go. All that energy is preserved for your live show. The energy is not going into last minute prep, last minute this, last minute that, getting yourself pumped up and ready to go. All that's already done. Just show up, go live, and make a big impact on your audience. That's what we want to do. That's what the whole goal is right there, right? That is the goal for everything we're doing on all this stuff. Okay, I love that you all were here with me today. I would love to hang out with you a little bit longer, but as I mentioned, that lake is calling my name, right? The lake is calling my name. My friends are calling my name. And I definitely still wanted to come live with you guys today here on Friday. Our next live show, of course, is as always, it's going to be next Friday at 11 a.m. So make sure you tune in to hang out with us for the next episode of Ask StreamYard, where I will be taking another topic, taking another deep dive, and helping you improve your live streaming video content strategy, as well as your performance with your live videos, so that you can reach your goals and grow that audience. That's definitely what we're trying to do, right? So, all right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to turn off the question banner because we're done with questions. And y'all didn't have a lot of questions today. And I think it was just because I kind of just brought it, right? Hopefully you enjoyed the go-getter attitude that I brought to this live stream today, because honestly, it's one of those things that sometimes you just got to bring it. You just got to show up and deliver all the content like a webinar, and that's what I did today. All right, let me get this thing all set up here. I am in the wrong place. I do not like using a laptop because I honestly am better with a mouse. That's all I'm going to say. So anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to say signing off. I love y'all. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and have an awesome weekend. If you are in the United States, have a safe holiday weekend this weekend and enjoy with family and friends. All right, everybody. I'll see you next time.